evening, and welcome to this regular meeting of the Helotes City Council. It is August 14th, 2014, and we're underway at 7 p.m. Before we get started, I would like to ask anyone who has a cell phone or other electronic communication device, please turn it to off, silent, or vibrate. And if you would feel a need during the meeting to text or have a conversation with someone else in the room, please just go out in the hallway or outside, because it is disturbing to the meeting. We appreciate your cooperation. We'll start the agenda tonight with the invocation, and tonight Paul Fredericks, Council Member Paul Fredericks, will be taking care of the invocation. Then we will have the Pledge of Allegiance to the American and Texas flag. So if you would please stand for the invocation and pledges.
God of all creation, we come before you today to give you honor and praise. You are the source of all that is good. You are the source of all of our blessings. Thank you for every gift that we have been given. We thank you for the opportunity to come and gather together this day. We ask for your hand of blessing on this meeting. We ask that you would guide, direct our meeting so that it is full of wisdom, productivity, and respect for one another. Thank you for helping us accomplish our work and our goals this day. Amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible.
Okay, next up, we have a public hearing. Grace, did anyone sign up to? Okay. Well, I need to go ahead and read this anyway and open the public hearing, so that will be at 7:03. And this public hearing is to give all interested persons the right to appear and be heard on a request from Duke and Susan Daniel to replat a 3.197 acre tract of land by removing a lot line between two platted lots and establishing Lot 2A on property located at 10716 Los Reyes Canyons, Helotes, Texas 78023, more particularly described as CB 4522A, Block 1, Lot 2 and 3, Los Reyes Canyons, UT-1 PUD. Since we have no one signed up to speak, I will go ahead and close the public hearing at 7:04. That takes us to open session. Citizens to be heard. Grace, anybody? Okay. No one signed up for citizens to be heard, so we will move on to our consent agenda. Tonight we have items 4 through 9, and the consent agenda in our type of meeting is on the agenda to more efficiently move some of the items along that the staff considers to be fairly routine, and they're intended to be handled with one motion and one second. However, if a council member would like to ask a question that we can answer fairly quickly and briefly, we will take care of the question, or if they want to remove or request to pull an item from the consent agenda for further and full discussion, it'll be pulled and handled as an individual item later in the agenda. So at this time, I'll ask if any member has a question or a request to pull an item. We good? Okay, then I would ask for a motion and a second to approve consent agenda items 4 through 9.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes.
I move that we accept consent agenda items number 4 through 9 as written.
We have a motion from Villanueva. Do we have a second?
Second.
That's you. And a second from Baez. So we have a motion from Villanueva, a second from Baez, to approve consent agendas items 4 through 9. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed say no. Motion carries. The consent agenda items 4 through 9 are approved. Okay, that takes us to item number 10, and tonight this is a presentation by representatives from TxDOT on our realignment of FM 1560 behind the Shell station, and then a proposal of a super street concept on State Highway 16 from Loop 1604 to Triana Parkway. And up is Jonathan, if you would state your name and who you're with, and we'll go from there.
Sure thing. Mayor, council, thank you for having us convene. I'm the Director of Transportation Planning and Development at TxDOT here in the San Antonio District. Again, appreciate y'all having us here. We had our public meeting earlier to talk about the projects we have before us. I want to thank y'all also for the joint application at the MPO. We've been working for several years trying to get this project on 1560 realignment moving forward. And also your support is solicited on the State Highway 16 corridor improvements that we'll show you tonight. Look forward to kind of showing you that. I want to go ahead and introduce the folks I have here tonight. I have a kind of army here, probably half the folks here. But we have LJA, our consultant, and Pate Dawson is our consultant team. With TxDOT, we have Clayton Rips, who's our planning director. He'll get up in a minute and actually give you the technical presentation. And Arnold Ramirez is our area engineer. He'll be the guy who is responsible for building the project. He's out here for construction. And John Bryant is our environmental project manager as well. Did I miss anybody? That's our team. Real proud of that, and we think we've got a good project to look forward to and show you tonight. I'm going to talk through some of the details. Clayton Ritz is going to talk through those technical details and answer any questions.
Welcome, Clayton. Just tell us your name and
Okay.
have at it.
All right, my name is Clayton Rips. I'm the Advanced Transportation Planning Director for TxDOT here in the San Antonio District. Just gonna kind of walk through the presentation. This is the same PowerPoint that was on display, kind of in a loop fashion during the open house this evening. And so I'll just kind of walk through the slides, kind of touching on them briefly. I'll give you a little bit of a description of the two projects. So we'll start off first with the funded project, which is the 1560 realignment. And so, as you can see here, do you mind if I walk around?
No, well, if you can carry the mic with you, otherwise nobody will hear you.
Okay, as you kind of see north on this map, the white arrow kind of headed up. And there, State Highway 60 is going northbound and southbound. So the project is kind of what you see highlighted in red. And it's basically relocating the intersection, which is currently right here on this side of the gas station, and on the back side of it, kind of straighten that out, eliminate that little short jog in between the two. Need and purpose, this is kind of tied to the environmental document. Need for the project is current alignment of FM 1560 and State Highway 16 intersection, restrict traffic flow, alleviate traffic congestion. Purpose, improve operational functioning and safety of the intersection. Project information, this kind of goes back to what Jonathan kind of touched on. The project was selected as part of the Alamo area Metropolitan Planning Organization's public projects, which is basically federal funds that funnel through the MPO. So this project was submitted jointly with the city of Helotes and TxDOT. Okay, so there are federal funds primarily in that category of funding, but there is some local contribution as well to help it rank when it goes up to compete against other projects in the San Antonio area. Here's just kind of a real rough plot. I mean, it's kind of hard to really scale it down to see everything. But what this is just to illustrate the number of crashes on this intersection. So as you can see, the legend up at the top, anything that's popping up as a red dot is 2013 crashes. And you can see it kind of broken down over 2008. But you can see kind of where the proximity of the crashes are occurring, at this location. And those of you that are familiar with that queue going home in the evening, we have a lot of rear end type crashes there. Sure, they're not that severity, but they are, they are a crash and they're reported. And here's kind of a reflection of those crashes in this area. Okay, this is kind of, if you might have a chance to look at the display outside, very similar. And this is kind of what is proposed at this intersection. It has, as you can see, the two colors, everything that's kind of in blue is kind of the new realignment. And everything that's highlighted in yellow along State Highway 16 is kind of the additional work that's being required on State Highway 16 for this project. And I'll walk through one of the maneuvers just to kind of give you, kind of explain what's going on here. So today, if you're coming down 1560, want to go north and you want to go out to Pike Creek or State Highway 211 area. Today, you travel down here, you come to the light, you wait, you make a left, and you go north. Well, with this project, what you'll do, you'll basically come up, you'll have 2 lanes that'll open up, and you see where that red arrow is, you'll turn where that red arrow is, and then follow it down. You'll actually be going south on State Highway 16. You'll get to this signalized turnaround. They'll stop the northbound traffic for you. You'll take the turnaround, and then you continue on north. So that's kind of what this does. It does restrict and change some of the maneuvers that are there today, at this intersection, which primarily is the direct left out, and people from Circle A, they cannot make that direct left anymore. When I'm going to 1604, they'll follow the route of that blue arrow, and there'll be a signal to stop them there, and they'll give them the green. They'll travel up where that blue arrow is, take the turnaround, and then continue on south. So all the signals in here, they are synchronized. So even though it looks like, oh man, you're adding more signals, well, yeah, technically, and it doesn't appear that way. But the signals function differently because they're not stopping 4 ways of traffic at one location. You're only stopping 2, so there are only two phases of each signal, and then plus they're synchronized to where they work. The whole point is, yes, you may be traveling a little bit longer for those maneuvers than you do today. But when you look at your time from when you were sitting there today versus once this is in place, that time of delay goes down. And so that's kind of one of the benefits of going to this type of facility. And here's kind of just a typical section. This is existing what's on that 1560. And today, of course, it's 2 lanes. And here on that section where it's going to be realigned, it'll be actually 4 lanes. You see the raised median down the middle. We will add a sidewalk to the outside. And of course, in that area, you see the retaining walls that are going to be needed. Kind of it ties into State Highway 16 because there's such a great difference as you approach State Highway 16. Then on State Highway 16, as far as where the turnarounds are going to be, part of the Super Street, part of this, this just illustrates that we're having to do some widening, as you can see in the median area, to kind of put those turnaround lanes and storage left turn lanes in there. Here's just basically a project description of, kind of if you're going through construction-wise, you'd relocate the intersection, build everything kind of off-site, everything in its new location, and then come back and move traffic over. There's just kind of the environmental factors that are going into the environmental assessment that's ongoing right now of the different things we look at. We look at the geology, there'll be a noise analysis that will be conducted to see if there is an increase in noise. Archaeological historic resources are looked at, threatened endangered species and their habitats are explored, socioeconomic resources, that's also surveyed out, hazardous material sites identified, and see if there's any remediation that needs to be done to counter that, and of course the impact to the firm code. Total estimated project cost is $5 million. So keep in mind, kind of, we're still in the planning stage. We're not in detailed design, so that still has a lot of contingencies added into it. That includes the need to buy the additional right-of-way, any eligible utility relocations, the construction, engineer, everything's factored into that cost. So, just know that, wow, that doesn't seem like it's a lot of money to do that, but it's kind of everything kind of packaged into it with still some contingency. So as we get into detailed design, we'll be able to define, some of those things we kind of progress. Current let date, December 2016. Construction duration,
That's a typo. That's December 2015.
year to year prior, that's right. And we have construction duration approximately 18 months. As we get further detailed design, that's kind of the safety net. But as we get closer to detailed design, we expect it being done in less than a year. Okay, now it's kind of the intersection. That was the project that is funded. Now, while we came out to a public meeting and we had kind of, a couple meetings working with the city of Clovis, looking at the State Highway 16 corridor from Loop 1604 all the way out to Triana Park. Hey, what can we look at? What are options to make some improvements at all the intersections and get people moving up and down the corridor through the city of Clovis? Well, one of the concepts that we kind of looked at was a super street. So here's kind of the project limits from 1604 to Triana Parkway. And what is a super street concept? What it basically does, it replaces the existing crossovers and the signalized leaving the high school and you want to go straight into FM 1560 straight across, the biggest difference is you'll make a right, you'll have a signal, it'll allow you to make a right, you'll come, make a turnaround, and you'll make a right to a 1560 on the other way. And of course, vice versa, if you're from 1560, come from the neighborhoods, get to the high school, you make a right, take that turnaround, come down Leslie Road and turn it. So again, it's very similar to what we're proposing at 1560. Now keep in mind, this is not a funded project, and this is only one snippet out of the whole stretch from Triana Parkway to 16. Now, one interesting part of this, what we're proposing, this concept of looking at the whole Super Street, was the interchange at Loop 1604 and State Highway 16. So we're looking at what can we do to improve that intersection. So we're looking at kind of something that's a little unique for the area, not unusual for the state of Texas, but very new, kind of innovative transportation, interchange types. And this one is called the displaced left turn intersection, aka the DLT. Some people also call it a continuous flow left intersection. A portion of this actually is built in San Marcos and IH-35. It's Aquarina Springs Drive, or it's also State Highway 80, and it's on the west side of IH-35. And so here's kind of a snippet of that intersection, or this innovative intersection at 1604 and 16. North again, City of Helotes is down that direction. State Highway 16, Neon Valley is down this way. The way this functions is a little different from what you typically do today. So say if you want to get on 1604 and go to I-10 in the morning. Today you travel down 1604, or down 16, you come under here and you wait for this line, you come under here, you hit it right, you'll make the left, and you'll continue on the front of it. The way this is, the only maneuver that's changed is that maneuver. And instead of actually make that left, instead of going all the way under here, where this purple arrow is, there'll be a signal here. So you'll pull 2 lanes right here, and there'll be a signal to stop you. And it'll let everybody go through, and then it'll turn, and you'll be able to cross the opposite direction. You'll go across here, you'll come across the turnaround, and then make that left. And then you can see the green arrows is the same exact maneuver we want to go. We had some animations that were showing the existing with the 20-year traffic projections on one side, and then we showed the same traffic projections with this configuration. You can see, the difference. It takes some time to probably get used to over time, but it's one of those concepts that we wanted to take out there, get some public input, see what we can get back, feedback-wise, as, oh, this is too bizarre. But, being that it's only really 2 maneuvers that are changing for the most part, it's one of those things over time, it takes driver behavior to get used to it. And as far as the State Highway 16 Super Street goes, it's not scheduled for construction, it's not a funded project. We'll continue our partnering with the city and looking at, what improvements we can make to State Highway 16 forward from here. And any comments, any comments open for 10 days. So if you have any comments, feel free to email them, mail them in. There's kind of all the contact info. So there's the email address, and then you can mail them in as well. Everything that we have here today will be on our website, citybuddytext.gov, and do a quick search for FM 1560, and it should get you close. That's
That it?
That's basically it.
Okay. We'll have opportunity for questions from council. Cindy, would you like to start?
Yeah, I have a couple of questions. The first is, what's going to happen on the first project you were talking about that is funded to the street right here in front of City Hall? How are people going to be able to come in and out of City Hall?
That's a great question. And we've, in meeting with Northside ISD, meeting with emergency, the fire chief the other day, and kind of looking at it, as we have it planned right now, we're going to leave this right open to where you can still get on and you merge over as you do today. We may go back and just take another look at what we can do. Because what we're doing with the old intersection here is allowing people to make a right in, and they can make a left here. Is that the best situation? But I guess what you're talking about is, if you're here, how do you get out? Yeah, I mean, one option we could look at is continuing this as a 2-way road, and it would actually dead end, here to turn in to where City Hall is. Is that kind of
I'm just trying, so your thought was to just end it and then,
It's
so,
kind of as it is today. So if you leave here, you would be able to make a right and go this way. If you wanted to go back north or go down 1560, you could do as you do today, make a left, continue on, and then go down to 1560.
There's really very little change, if any, to what's there today.
so it'll stay the same, the traffic pattern could stay the same.
Right, that was the option we asked for.
Yeah, no, that's, and that's what I'd like to see. I don't see why,
Talking about this connection and continue.
Yeah.
yeah, I'd like to see it stay like that, yeah. But, you know, the only thing that I would think about though then is a lot of people from over there are probably gonna maybe wanna use that. Cause there's not gonna be, is there a stop, there's not gonna be any stop signs or anything?
There's not, but see, that was one of our concerns by leaving this connection in here, is you wanna try to take them away. So what we did at this intersection is where this, if you're going up 1560, it actually opens up to 2 lanes here. And if you get in this right lane, this blue arrow is a free right. That becomes a new lane, so you don't have to stop. So we're hoping that's enough encouragement for people to realize, oh man, I just come up here, I make a right, and I get on. Because it's not a merge. That's where that's the third lane is.
Yeah, 'cause that, I was concerned that if you leave it open, then I still think that people are gonna tend to wanna and then people coming in and out of here, I could see accidents happening with that, you know, or people waiting to come in and out, I don't know.
Sure, it's something that, one of the parts of this, I guess I should have touched on was, since we're taking on this additional lane or section of that from 1560, this piece is 1560, so will be turned over to the city of Lawrence.
Right.
It's kind of a swap. So after the project, the city will have control over that section. So if you wanted to interject some other stop signs, traffic control devices in here to help facilitate some of that, that would be something that y'all would have control over.
And in the meantime, we can work together if this is the best solution, or if maybe we ought to just end it at your last driveway. Those are thoughts we're having. We're kind of going back and forth. There's positives and negatives to either way. Maybe it's something as we work with y'all that we can make a decision to do it with the project, or we can kind of see how it goes, and then you'll have the control to close it, put up signs on places.
The main thing to understand is there's still a lot of planning that's gonna be done. Yeah.
We're at the planning stage, and that's why we're here talking, getting feedback, and then we can move forward with the detailed design based on the feedback we get today and ongoing.
Anything else, Cindy?
I had a question about the super street, particularly that area on 1604, when the people would be going to get on 1604 going, east. They would be crossing over, is the street gonna be elevated at all? I mean, I don't understand how that's gonna work.
It's kind of weird to try to visualize, but basically, there'll be a traffic signal right here, and this signal would stop traffic going north. It'd be a two-phase signal, so they would stop people right here going north, coming up to Lewis. So this purple arrow, those cars would be able to cross in front of them, travel down, this will be new pavement over here where this purple arrow is. And again, there'll be another signal here for people on head westbound on the front of 1604, and you cross in front of that stop traffic. That turnaround will be actually widened, the pavement widened to 2 lanes, so they'd be able to continue to use that turnaround and then make a free left to continue on.
It's very different, and a solution at a congested location like this requires us to kind of think outside the box. We agree that it's very different, and not many locations have this. Clayton mentioned there is one in San Marcos, now there's some across the country. We're willing to try, and look at some outside the box things, even though we know drivers are gonna have to learn, this situation and configuration. It's not something that is gonna be intuitive and what they're used to seeing.
No.
It's kind of strict, you gotta see it.
So who thinks these things up? Is there a school for this kind of stuff? Okay.
Who
those
thinks
guys.
these things?
It's really smart traffic engineers like this, they tend to
It's Clayton.
Is the animated version where you can see it working, is that on the website?
Those are a challenge to get out there because the files are so big.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, we've tried to get them out. We've tried to upload them on other projects after the public meeting. the website and other things. And so, you know, if there's a way to get maybe a snippet of it out there, you know, maybe we want to capture this and maybe just the intersection, maybe we could chop those up into two little ABIs, try to get those two pieces.
And you
out
prob-
there.
you probably should try not to use the word crash when you're talking about it either.
That's what we do,
Okay.
unfortunately.
Cindy,
I think that's
Paul-
it, yeah.
Paul, did you have any
Thank you.
questions?
I guess the only thing I really kind of had a concern about was the 1560 at 1604, and with all that peak traffic with kids going in and out morning and afternoons and buses and gravel trucks and all that. I
You
mean,
mean it 16 or you said 1604?
well, Hausman, yeah.
You're talking about
high
Hausman.
school,
Okay,
Liz,
Oh,
there in kind of front of Walmart.
right.
It just seems.
Well,
I guess we
that's
got to
for-
really look at that because you know, again, gravel trucks, buses, and a lot of cars going through at
And that's
peak
further,
times,
that's
so,
further down the
yeah.
road. This is not part of the realignment project, which is the
It
first
not.
up.
You know, what we're here tonight, you know, doing is, you know, giving you an update of what we just did at the public meeting. But we are soliciting your support for the super street. I mean, I wanna be very clear that it's not, we don't wanna go out there with something this different, you know, without some level of support. We would seek, you know, some form of support from you guys to proceed with, a concept like this. We don't wanna, you know, come out here and be kind of on our own. We want city support. And so, you know, we'll take our time and if you guys wanna, if you have additional information that you'd like to see, we'd be happy to come back.
But that's all.
Bert?
Yeah, I had a couple of questions. Can you show me a typical police and fire response with the new alignment?
For instance, anything, if they had to go say,
Well, I'm talking about up by the Shell station. Can you?
Yeah,
Yeah.
coming out there at the intersection by the Shell.
so when they come out here, they'll be able to go, as it is right now, they'll
Right.
be able to come here and make a right and go south.
Right.
With this project being built, to go north, they'd be able to make a right, they'd use that crossover and then go back north.
Okay. So and then we'd have to leave that portion of the road open in order for that to occur.
You're talking about that crossover?
No, I'm talking about the road in front of City Hall.
And one of the things that actually the fire chief mentioned was, you know, what if we did something to make this a two-way to where it'd be like a driveway in and a driveway out, and then you ended this at City Hall. So you'd have that two-way connection, kind of like you have today, but you wouldn't be able to go directly north, but it would provide that right turn on and off of State Highway 16.
So you'd be able to get from that area that Clayton was just pointing at, and you'd be able to take the turnaround that was being proposed.
Yeah, so even if the super street was implemented all through here,
Mhm.
you came out of here, you have basically a driveway, you make a right here, they could come in, catch this turnaround, and then go north.
Did the police and fire chief, were they happy with that? Or did,
He expressed some.
is this the fire chief?
Yes, he expressed some concerns, just had some questions, so we kind of walked through all the maneuvers.
Okay.
And it's expected, when we talked to other cities and other municipalities, it's kind of one of the biggest concerns and question is, you know, what makes it a lot more circumvention to kind of make those maneuvers, than what's there today.
We talked about things like preemption of the signal though, too, you know, is there ways to get that signal to recognize that there's an emergency vehicle coming? You know, I think there's some, preemption that he talked about that you have for that existing signal right there. And we'll have to work that out in our detailed design, if that's something we can accommodate with that, the signal at that turnaround too, you know, you come out and it stays green long enough.
And then in order to make the turn to go north, would something as big as a fire truck need both lanes to make that turn?
It's something that we check when we do the turning radiuses, you know, we actually design it to meet a much larger truck than that. And so they
Okay.
would accommodate, you know, the design vehicle, which would be a truck, we could see the truck.
Okay. And I had one other question. In our previous discussions, we were talking about there was a problem right here at the 1560 down there. There was a bluff or something that was hampering progress, right where your finger is, right? Further, yeah, some kind of bluff there. Or was it further? I think it was further this way.
What we were checking there was just the sight distance, from what I recall.
Okay, yeah,
When you're coming down this
Correct.
way, to be able to look back, you're so
Right.
low as you're going down, because it's hard to imagine, but this, you're actually going up the hill, so you're gonna see a
Right.
lot of fill material, go in to build that connection from here up to State Highway 16. And so, yeah, because you have that bluff right there, we were just making sure we had a good sight distance, there wasn't something there in the way.
so that's something you're still working on, or it's been taken care of?
It's been taken care of.
Okay, that's all I had.
Alex?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor. Yes, I did have a couple questions. One, my first question was about the access for the fire department to leave the building and go really anywhere except, I guess that's south at that point. And I guess that's still up for discussion. The second question I had was just slightly off of the right-hand side on your map there is a street called Diamond K. And that road, it runs in between the bank and the Dairy Queen. Which, if you go back a block, you see the Bar X, which is the one that kind of circles across the top. And I'm concerned that if you have everybody that comes down off that hill, all that entire neighborhood, and make them go all the way up and back, you're going to see a lot of traffic divert over there and then just come across and dart across traffic on that. And so I would say we have to consider that too, because traffic, like a raging river, is going to go for the least resistance. And if they're going to have to wait for light and do all sorts of circles, you're going to see a lot of people do that to kind of cut that off. And I just think we need to consider what other avenues people are going to take when we make it slightly inconvenient to them, or in their mind inconvenient. Reality is not there. Perception is reality. And so I just think we need to take that into consideration. With regard to the other, and I know it's down the road, the Houseman-Leslie Bandera Road intersection, given the fact that before all of this happens, the Houseman Road 1560 is going to be expanded into quite a large road. How does that impact the potential plan for what's going to happen there? Because right now this looks as if it's still looking at 2 lanes on the top end of your map. That's going to actually be 5 lanes plus bike lanes plus all of that too. And how does this get changed when you realize that that's what's going on there?
Oh, it's a great question. Great question, good observation. And when we were developing the plans for the FM 1560 expansion project, which we'll let next year, we took the footprint of this street layout and laid that on top of what we're doing, just to make sure that we're not precluding or we're having to do a whole lot of rework if we wanted to go to this type of concept. So we're trying to leave that footprint open. But when that project's done, it's basically going to be the same intersection that's there today. It's just you'll have an additional lane on each side as you approach State Highway 16. So we're just actually trying to set the signals up a little bit further apart, make sure that we're not contradicting, too much of what has to be done here. The Super Street requires a lot more work, more in the median, and it's not as much on that side. We were trying to set ourselves up to where there wouldn't have to be a lot of rework because that project would be fairly new, and then we'd have to come back and do it.
Well, we'll have some experience with the new wider intersection
You'll see what it's
before this gets planned and funded. Okay, because I think we'll learn something from that. The other thing I just wanted to mention is that I'm still convinced that a lot of the traffic that runs off 1560 really goes there to avoid 1604. And I mean, you've got all of Alamo Ranch, all of the neighborhoods that are being developed off of Shanefield and Braun. They're coming through here because 1604 has been so tied up for so many years and is only getting worse. Even with the Super Street project, it's still a huge congestion. And I know they've just expanded and funded and are starting now the project to make that into a controlled access highway. Does that also have an impact on what we're expecting to happen on the 1560-16 intersection?
It could. It's just difficult for us to try to capture the amount of traffic that's actually diverting through there. I know myself, I used to avoid 1604 when it was a 2-lane roadway, from all the way from US 90 all the way up here to Bandera I know I came 471, 1560 because it was great. Now not so much. But it, but it's difficult to try to capture that, in a traffic model because we can make assumptions to really track vehicles. But you're probably right. There are people that do just that, and it'll come, driver, behavior. I know today when I came up here today, and I did this the other day because traffic was queued back. But just to get over here at this intersection, I didn't make the left here. I went up, I went to that crossover. I used it, came back, made a right, and I was here. And all those cars that I passed were still sitting there. It's just driver behavior, and yeah, I had to go a little bit further, quarter mile, and come back. But my time, I wasn't sitting there. And so it's just a matter of driver behavior and expectancy. As part of it. But yeah, it's a good observation. Maybe that portion of 1604, because we're building the grade separations at Braun Road, which is the one to mention. Braun Road, New Gilville, and Shanefield. So you'll have basically a freeway section. So just dying over here at Braun, all the way down to Calabro. And of course, the other pieces from Calabro all the way down to US 90 are now funded. So in the next 6 years, everything goes well construction-wise. You'll have a complete freeway system on 1604. So you may see some residual improvements on 1560 because of that. Because now we'll have a lot more lane to make that southwest maneuver, that we're doing today.
Thank you.
Ed?
Take us from Circle A northbound on 16. What do you have in mind for that?
Circle A to go northbound.
Right.
That's basically this red arrow.
Mhm.
So if you come up here, you would have what we call a free right. You wouldn't have to stop at the signal. You'd have basically your own kind of lane to continue on. So it'd be kind of a free right.
I guess what I'm getting at is the crossovers further up the road. Yeah. What happens to those crossovers?
Those crossovers will be replaced over time with these turnarounds. They wouldn't be signalized if they didn't warn a signal. But what the reason, it usually is it's difficult to do that. But if ever there's a case where there's a crossover that has a high frequency of crashes or a severity of crashes, we would take a hard look at that and say, this is a safety issue. We're going to close this crossover because we've had such and such fatalities and incapacitating crashes over this time period. That is a safety hazard. And we've had to do that on an example on US 90. We've had to close 2 of them. Difficult to do, but over time people have adjusted. One of them been closed 4 years now. There hasn't been a fatality since that time. But people find another avenue to make that. So north of here we have on the layouts, the schematics we had outside. Basically wherever you saw one of those crossovers, or there was 2 of them close together, 2 of them came out, we put in turnarounds, more dedicated turnarounds for people to pull the turnaround, stop, kind of cross over and come back across. It kind of eliminates all those what we call conflict, where people can make a left edit, they can come back and make a turnaround or go straight across. You eliminate those conflict points and make them more channelized to where they're making those other maneuvers.
I understand. Do you have any of those on this illustration?
I'm sorry, I
Further north?
didn't clip one of those on.
Okay. Because
Yeah, that you see up at the north, that's kind of an example of what it would look like. You'd take out that crossover, with a turnaround, on each side.
The
'Cause-
intent for this whole corridor really is to begin to plan and get this out in front here as development then occurs out in those areas. We've got something to kind of plan around that it's not a big surprise that you're not gonna be able to line up with that, say, large development come in maybe and line up with a crossover with a signal. It would be more of an operationally efficient, safer situation or something.
Yeah, John, that's a great point, because as development occurs, they're gonna wanna come in and they wanna line up these crossovers. And I guess there was a point in time where there used to be signs up that said temporary crossovers. And over time, they got knocked down, we didn't replace them. It was just one of those things, it was a money issue and why they're constantly getting hit. So they used, that was always the intent, they were never a permanent installation. And sometimes you get used to it and your house, your driveway line up right next to it, and it's very convenient. There's just a matter of time, to try to get used to, okay, that's not the best maneuver.
So will the majority of the crossovers between, let's say Scenic Loop headed up to Triana Parkway, are those gonna be closed off?
They would be closed. They would be converted into more of these channelized turnarounds. And of course, none of those are set in stone. What drives several of those is you get up Chaparral and you've got those S curves kind of going back. The topography, one, and then those curves, two. You gotta have it's suspect. That's some of those locations, so that's one of the challenges, you know, it would be great if you could put more turnarounds in there, but your site distance kind of dictates how frequently you put those in.
So then with the Triana, the light at Triana that's been erected, will that be a fully functioning light instead of just a blinking light?
As that is warranted, which I think they're coming out pretty soon.
I don't think it's warranted just yet, but I think they've got some, flashing beacons out in that area.
What would it take to make it a
It's got a
fully
warrant
functional?
first, which means it has to, meet one of the 8 warrants within our, manual and uniform traffic control devices. So, not to get too technical with you, but it does have to meet certain requirements, and we are monitoring that signal, that signalized intersection, because it's, unsignalized intersection, because it's, there have been some crashes in that location, so
Yeah.
we are monitoring it to
Yeah.
do the right thing. We got some rumble strips out there right now.
Mhm. Because I just look at it from a safety standpoint, if that became a fully functioning light, then it's gonna slow the traffic pattern down considerably. I live in Los Reyes, and coming off there, you know, nowadays, you gotta look out. You gotta look not once but twice to get out of subdivision. And we have, and keep in mind, we have another subdivision we just approved coming in, you know, to the south of Los Reyes. And so you got another 70-something homes probably going in
It's
there.
very much on our radar, and we're
So.
going to continue to monitor it. It's not something we've forgotten about at all.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah, yeah. Anybody else?
I just have one more question about
Okay.
the easements and for the Super Street part. The Super Street, is it gonna be 4 lanes? It's 2 and 2, I mean,
The super street involves
Oh,
what
that-
you've got there plus turn lanes. So it would be, in some cases, long turn lanes, so it might feel like you have 6 lanes for a while.
okay, so are you gonna be taking the land from the middle, from the median in the middle, or are you gonna be taking it from the outside easement?
It'd be in the middle, we wouldn't be acquiring right away.
There's some widening to the outside, possibly, but we're not going to be pouring any additional.
Yeah, you can kind of see that light blue on here is kind of some light on the outside. Everything we're trying to make it work within the existing state highway 16-foot.
Okay,
Like I said, we're high level, we haven't gone out and surveyed it. So, you know, if there's potential right-of-way impacts, we'd address them at that time.
okay,
But that's not really the charge of the project.
okay, that's it.
Anything else? Alex? Ed, you're good?
Mayor, if I can. Councilman Blue's question is actually answered right there on Diamond K, because it looks like y'all are planning to close in that median or that crossover. Is that correct? Where that turnaround is, right there at Diamond K?
Correct.
Okay.
But that would be, this is implemented with not.
If it wasn't.
And again, none of this is part of the Hausman Road expansion. This will be a separate project with the super streets when it gets funded, is that correct?
At this time,
Right.
you know, if we gain support, I just wanna be real transparent, I mean, if we gain support for this concept, we would want to seek funding as soon as possible, and if it fell in line with being able to implement some of this with the project, we would certainly try to do that, but it's not in the plan to do that right now.
Okay, what kind of time frame are you talking about as far as us getting together, really understanding this, and then supposedly, I'm assuming we'd have a resolution supporting the super streets at some point in time? What kind of time frame are you looking at there?
I don't have a time frame nailed down. Funding would be, something we would not necessarily go out and seek until that time, so we would wanna do it as soon as you guys are comfortable with it, maybe in
Okay.
the next,
Year?
3 months, 6 months.
6 months, okay. And I noticed a survey crew out here for the last week or two. Is that for our realignment project or something else? Or is that something of you have out here? Realignment? Okay, thanks. Just curious. I haven't stopped to talk to him yet. Okay. Hey, we appreciate it, guys.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you.
You bet. You're welcome to stay. Okay. Thanks again, Clayton. Appreciate it. Okay, next up on the agenda is item number 11, which is a sign variance request for Marco's Pizza at Helotes Town Center. So if we can have a motion and a second to open discussion and appropriate action, please.
Mr. Mayor, the previous, the presentation, it says for discussion of an action on. We're not gonna do any,
Note on that, no.
no, okay.
So on number 11, do we have a motion and a second to open discussion? And
Mr. Mayor, I make a motion that we discuss and take action on agenda item number 11.
have a motion from Buys. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second from Fredericks. So Bert, it's your motion. Open discussion.
Okay, are we doing this, are we considering the sign variance because it's two signs or because it's over 25% of the allowed allowed overage?
Planning and Zoning Commission approved the master sign plan for this center with the 25% overage, which is allowed by code. These two signs, it's not the quantity, it's the size, exceed that additional 25%. If you look on the first page where it says item number 11, it says the max size for sign A is 31.25. It's what they're proposing is 39.9. Sign B, the maximum size is 25. What they're proposing is 35.9 square feet. Sign C has already been approved. It's the monument sign out front.
So I'm sorry, Rick, how much over the 25% is it?
Sign A is approximately 8 square feet additional. Sign B is approximately 11 square feet additional.
Okay, that's all I had.
Was there a reason why they were asking for the variance? Is it just for scale of the building, or is it just they wanted a bigger sign that you're aware of?
What I'm aware of is the reason for the sign request is visibility from Bandera Road. Now, one of the council members has already made the point that there are trees in the middle of the Walmart parking lot, which somewhat obstructs the view of the building anyway. But their goal here is to have visibility from Bandera Road across the Walmart parking lot.
Paul, anything else?
No, sir. That's all I have right now.
Alex?
Yes, Mr. Mayor, thank you. I did inquire about this earlier, and I just wanted to kind of clarify some of the information that I'm looking at here. From the notes that were given to us about the sign A and sign B, the maximum size, that already includes the 25% above what the permitted sign is for the size of the unit that's being there. As I recall, when this was approved, the size of the sign and square footage has to do with the linear frontage of the business that's there. And so when I look at it, and if you take the number that the staff has put together, the 31.25 is actually 125% of 25 square feet. So the request for 39.9 is actually 60% above the originally approved amount. P&Z gave a blanket approval to go 25%, but they want to go not 25, but 60% above what our ordinance originally calls for. And on sign B, that sign is approved at 20 square feet, but by wanting to go to 35.9, they're actually 80% above. And they've already given approval for 25 and a blanket approval by planning and zoning, and that's why they're coming here, is to go to 60% on one and 80% on the other. I would think it's a stretch to believe that these signs, even at this size, would be visible from Bandera Road, given the distance. I'm not even sure that the buildings are visible from Bandera Road. I don't think this is something that we want to set a precedent on and allow somebody or a business of any sort that far away from Bandera Road to attempt to make a sign so large that it can be seen that distance away. I can't be in favor of this request for either of these two signs.
Okay. Ed?
I feel somewhat the same. I'm gonna say that on A, it would be pretty difficult to, even if you put a bigger sign or that's allowed for it to be visible. I guess I would be, in favor of giving them a little variance on B, on sign B, the one that'll face, Leslie. But A, I think would be a stretch, so, I see what they're trying to achieve, but I think as, Councilman, Blue said, the sign on A, or a sign would be pretty difficult to do that parking lot. Anyway, I'm mixed about that, so obviously, favor of one and not the other.
Anything else? Cindy?
Well, they give a variance for this particular business because there's a lot of that building is quite large and there's a lot of businesses. I think we're gonna be getting a lot of variance requests for every one of them, which means that we really need to change the ordinance if we're gonna allow this and continue to allow this. So we either change the ordinance or we stick with the ordinance and vote, the way our ordinance has asked us to. I do sympathize with the businesses. I mean, for the longest time, some of the businesses even here that at front Bandera Road, if the sign isn't big enough, you can't even read it. And so this is even further, but I think I'm gonna be against this simply because, again, we're gonna have to be changing the ordinance for all of the signs that are gonna be going out there, and I just don't think that's a good idea.
Paul, any follow-up?
No.
Anybody else have any follow-up? Okay, so, no further discussion being, requested, we'll go to the question, and a yes vote in this case would grant the variance, and a no vote will deny the variance. There were no amendments, suggested, so we'll, vote on the, agenda item as it's presented. So all in favor of, approving the sign variance, say aye. All opposed, say no.
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 Motion fails. The variance is not granted. Okay, that takes us to item 12, and if there are no objections, we would like to suspend the rules and move this agenda item to come back after the closed session. So if there are no objections to that, we'll suspend the rules and go ahead and move item 12 to follow the closed session, and we'll discuss and take action at that time. Okay, so we're gonna move that. We'll go on to item 13. And this has to do with our franchise agreement with CPS, and this will involve repealing ordinance number 02A, and it will, by this agreement, grant a new 20-year electric and natural gas franchise within the city of Helotes, Bexar County, Texas, to the city of San Antonio, acting through City Public Service or CPS Energy. So if we can get a motion and a second, we'll open this for discussion and appropriate action.
Mr. Mayor, I move that we discuss and take action on item number 13 as presented.
Okay, we have a motion from Blue,
Second.
second from Villanueva. Alex, it's your motion.
I think it's a good idea. That's the only comment I would have.
That's it?
That's it.
Okay, Ed?
Great move. Point and a half, we'll take it anytime.
Yeah.
We've been working on this a long time. I believe we're the last holdout here, but it's very appreciated from CPS, and we appreciate them working with us on it. Bert?
Also, kudos to somebody for asking for the retro on the deal, and I wonder who that could be. Is there anybody know who it was?
On the what?
You asked for a retro back to February. Was that you that asked for that?
Yeah.
Well, I'd like to give you kudos for asking for that and for CPS giving it to us.
That it?
Mm-hmm.
Paul?
No, I'm off.
Cindy?
Good job.
Okay. Well, then what we're looking at here is to approve the franchise agreement and the accompanying ordinance, so no further discussion. We'll go to the vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say no. Motion carries. And we will go ahead and sign the franchise agreement and not look back. Okay, number 14. This is something we discussed several months ago, and went to planning and zoning. And it was initially for the election signage on the polling place here. And so we'll go ahead, and if we could get a motion and a second to discuss and take action on the changes to the sign ordinance, which includes the election signage.
Mr. Mayor, I make a motion that we discuss and take action on item 14 as written.
We have a motion from Fredericks. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second from Villanueva. Paul, your motion?
I guess the only question that I had was if, and I assume this is gonna be regulated, the city secretary will kind of monitor this?
Yes.
Is that, I guess the question is if a candidate A is running for office and he'll have 6 signs, correct, right? If that's what I'm reading, he'll have the ability to put out 6 signs?
6 signs plus 4 if they have a candidate
If they, yeah.
or something.
Now, what happens if a group comes behind him and says, you know, candidate A, he's a swell guy, I'm gonna put up signs for him? Are they allowed to put up 6 additional signs, or no?
No, it's per candidate.
So if they decide that they wanna put signs up for a candidate, they're not allowed to? Because there's already 6 from the candidate.
Correct.
Okay.
And that'll be monitored by our election official, which is our city secretary, Grace Jimenez.
Okay. That's a little tough to swallow, but I understand it looks horrible out there on election day. Trying to limit that. That's all I had right now.
Okay, Ed?
I don't have anything. Thank you.
Cindy?
No.
Nothing? Bert?
Well, I guess to answer your question, Paul, you could probably put about 10 of them on your car, because I think there's no limit to that. Just saying. Just, no, it's a good agenda item.
Yeah,
Alex?
what about
No, sir, I'm fine, thank you.
You're fine?
those sticky things that they put on the cars? What if somebody drives
Okay.
on there with all those sticky things on the car?
So the rest of it's okay too. So